Alright guys, Anthony with Austin Start Weapon Skills here. Again, I'm going to pull the visual entity in Austin for the time being. Today I want to get into a little of breaking guards, what that means, how to do it, and some option interpretations. We have a new color repel. I'll be breaking in as we do this, so we'll kind of see how that works, how that comes out.
Fix that angle real quick. That looks slightly better.
Alright, so breaking guards and what it means and how to do it. So we're talking about forming guards in the really within our tradition. We have on top, from above, they're around your shoulder, from high. Talk about fluke. Specifically, we're going off of left fluke and how to break that, how to go through that. We're talking about left dox. And then lastly is going to be elbow. Sword is down, sword is left. So we have ways of breaking these guards. When we go, there's a couple options for each and some deeper types of those I'm not going to get into tonight, but just ideas of breaking guards, how to do what that means. First attack we go up to is going against Montauk. This is assuming your opponent is there from the dominant shoulder, from above, and working from there. All guard breaks are done with one of the master strikes, and we'll talk about those coming through. Breaking montage is done with its vertical. So your opponent is showing a cut. Assuming from the dominant side, here, so with the cut, I'm going to come in underneath that attack with this vertical, like so. And that is kind of the standard opening camera entrance. We talked about opening point through this vertical. This ties into guard breaking because if we know they're in this position, any kind of attack something like this is going to break those lines and change those motions. So we're going to set up the bell, assuming the opponent has attacked, is in mid-motion, and is breaking that strike. Very similar to how we did the normal strike now. We'll talk a little bit more about some of those options of why these guidelines work, and how things transition from there. So if my opponent is in montage, again, quick reminder, the spell is not on the head. Their head is back here somewhere, so if I'm striking at the opponent, I'm shooting close to the middle of my blade, whereas I'm just closing off lines, I'll hit you with the tip and work from there. So if they're in that montage position while we're high, we can pretty much confidently say that the sword's coming across myself. And we can live a little bit more, hopefully, first time breaking the bell, so we'll see how it works out. But if I know that it's coming from here, I can throw my attack, coming across, closing off that line, setting my attack, setting my thrust, working in there. I don't believe that breaking a guard is done to strike the other person. Breaking a guard is something we do to get ourselves a superior bind position, right? I don't, again, run based on that. I'm never striking with the other person. I'm actually striking close off my line, close off my center, make myself safe and able to follow through an attack closer later. So if I break their guard, I'm throwing an attack that takes the weakness and exploits the weakness of the position they're in, because yeah, they know what they're doing, or things like that. But it's really about setting up a superior position where I can throw off this step, throw off this attack. Things to think about, things to play with as you're working through this vertical against on top. I'm still a big fan of doing this with a step across to there. To the left side, where I'm passing in that shoulder-shoulder analogy I keep talking about. But this is what really helps close off those lines and figures out from attack. If you look at the angle of this vertical, if I'm able to step across, step through, I'm putting myself entirely behind my weapon as I close this distance in. If they're still at their shoulder, I can really start negating their options of what to do to really strike me by having my sword in front of my face, coming towards them, coming towards that threat line. You can see in this position where the sword is all the way up here, it's a little bit low. So let's try to raise it up and see if we make it work a little bit better. So this is the first time really starting to play with this. see how this pans out. Alright, so now we've got a much higher angle. And this is far more representative of a strike that hasn't gotten all the way down here, but it's on its way down for a much higher angle. So you can see match the height of this sword. I'm up high, I'm pulling through my cut, I haven't gotten it down centered ready to attack. So this is a much better representation, much better angle for this kind of action, where we're not reacting to the cut as in front of us, we're reacting to the cut as it's coming out. We're creating a reaction based off of that. So now, if I come through here, when I was ripped out, you can see much clearer that I'm catching their sword, driving across, coming through. I'm getting their weak on my strong as I do this, and setting up those beneficial binds, beneficial positions. And maybe I get distracted with this. Maybe they step in and don't get moving across, throw their weak to my strong, and I just plow through this. I've pretty much got distance to come in if they're stepping in with that. So maybe I hit them, maybe I don't. But the fact of the matter is, once I feel this, and I'm safe, and I'm here, I can very easily follow the thrust, second Zerk, all sorts of other fun choices that show up in a fight. But this comes from that idea that I am taking the floor, I'm going first, I'm driving and attacking my opponent before they've made their cut, before they're ready for me to do something. So, breaking guard, you need to be going first, you coming in aggressively, you need to be driving through and making your attention known. So again, from here, just stepping off to my left, putting this right down, getting myself a nice solid bind, whether or not I strike through into the person, whether I turn it out, whether I do the errand, whether I turn it to the side, as I pass. I've got lots of options open to me, and that's kind of the goal of breaking guards. Next, since we're already up high, this doesn't have an actual lock on this, so let's see how that works. So we're going to left axe. So I want the sword over here, angling down, and depending if you have the flat angle up, I'm a firm believer that you want the flat of the sword exposed to your opponent, and working from there. So a little bit short for me, go, I think a couple inches taller. I think that's as good as I'm going to get. So if you notice, I have a nice facsimile of left ox. My guard is a little bit higher, so it's down here. So not so much my height, I've got 6 inches on maybe. But it's a good starting point for left ox and driving in. So again, we're going to start from the assumption that we're starting this action intention 2 steps away. So starting the strike, 1, 2 steps away. So we're lined up here, and we're starting left ox. Left ox is great for the Kumbai. Kumbai, if you remember from previous lessons, was about crossing the wrist as you strike. I'm a big fan of believing that this cut should still come right to left. Instead of cutting across from my center here, I'm going to strike out to the side, changing these angles, giving myself other options to work with. Again, I'm going to go counter to the idea, because we talked about it before, it's leaving off to the right side, but that's again reacting in the reacting to the person attacking you, reacting to the other person coming in, taking the tempo. Where in these scenarios, we're looking at taking control of fencing, taking control of fight. So I'm a big fan again of stepping off that left side. You can start from the demon hook, this low guard position, or from the top again, which makes it more comfortable. But again, we're really looking to drive in and take across to that side. So remember, they're in left ox. The actual opponent is standing here, not behind the weapon, not behind the lapel. They're off to the side. So I'm not going to be striking at the lapel. I'm striking to its left. So they come through, same thing. They're in the high guard. I'm going to bring my sword over top, bring that through, same positions here. And I don't know if you can see very well in the camera, but this sword is flexing a lot, displacing a lot, and really moving out of the way of my intention. So again, as I step, I'm throwing that cut. Notice again, I'm getting a nice, strong, weak bind. I'm striking towards the opponent. I really give them the option to change through. If they pull their sword away while this happens, I'm just going to drive in. This thrust I'm setting up as I'm cutting through. They can't really drop down and get the thrust at me because I'm coming down along the plane of their weapon, driving through, displacing that as I come by attack. So again, using the crew power to defeat my dots, stepping out to my left side, feel that crew through their weapon, towards their face, towards your attacker, and really working that out, making that driving, making that really happen. While we're up high, I'm going to go back up to crown real quick. We will see how this one plans out. I'm going to rotate. Buildings. I did warn everyone when we started that this was a test run and super experimental. Alright, so go back and see what we have for my guard. So again, we want to add that feature. So we pretend this is a nice height. So this is obviously much lower. I'm going to think about things later. So we're going to assume they're up high like this. So this is a bit lower than I'd like. I'd really like to see it up here more, which I think is an easy fixation to the pedal. But we're looking for something going up in the crown. And we're doing this to show the break of Elber. So again, Elber is fool's guard is low guard down here, and this is being broken with a shadow line. The assumption is going to be that if someone is swinging a sharp sword towards your head, towards your face, you're not going to play that game of inches like, they're probably not going to hit me. And if they don't hit me, they're definitely not going to stab into my eyeball because I didn't protect myself. So this is something you don't see a lot of happening in tournaments and competitions because we have base fluffy masks on that keeps our heads mostly safe. I'm not just like concussion studies and safety issues. But regardless, this is something that this is when you get stabbed in the stomach. When you put a sharp weapon in someone's hand or take their mask off their head, all of a sudden that sword coming in vertically in your scalp makes you move a whole lot more than it does when you've got a big fishing mask on where you can play that game. So the play down Elder is where we hear about crown, and we talked about before where he's kind of rising up, catching his guard, doing and displacing from there. Crown really works well because if I throw a cut into this rigid structure here, I get stuck on their sword, on their structure, on them pressing up. And the only thing I can do, or try to do, is pull my sword away, disengage, and moving back. If you're in crown, you should be charging in, pressing forward, and really making the person work for it, because otherwise you're wasting your time. So, if they're starting Elder, and I'm stepping in with my shadow house, as they go to press and disengage and move, because my arms aren't bent and locked and rigid here, they're rigid. Here I get stuck as they press in and lock me out. If I'm doing a shuttle howl, not only do I get significantly more distance, right? So I get stuck in the here, my shuttle howl is all the way up there. So I'm gaining easily a foot of distance to make this happen. So even if we're striking or normal cut speed, 8 to 12 inches in front of the person's chest, you're getting close to hitting them, and with that extra speed with that shuttle howl, that's where one of the tricks of that strike come out, where you can really threaten that cut during this thing, where it's not going to cut them in half, but if you take a sharp wound to the top of your head, that's not going to be fun after that. So, really working on crown falls apart if your opponent doesn't give you structure work against. And you see this coming out in play, and it kind of paints crown in a bad light. And for a while, I disregarded crown. I was like, well, it's a bad position. Look how easy to defeat it. It's defeated because they're using a master strike against it, because they're expecting you to know they're playing into their game. If I'm an Elder and Chunk throws a cut at my head and I go like this, This obviously has to be what I'm going to do, because otherwise I'm going to hit my head while I'm stacking up, but then we just do the same thing over again. So as I go to catch it, they get stuck, and I have severe advantage. Here, if they're in crown, or I know they're going into crown to kick my vertical cut, if I don't give them structure and I really stress reach, now it makes it much easier for me to disengage and work my other options, work my other plays from there. And that's using shadow pow to break out. It's not about stretching, just barely hitting them on the head. This is about knowing they're going to get you in crown. That's the only option they have. And once they're there, you go through the rest of the play to slice the arms or grapple or throw or whatever else shows up based on how they act. Situational response, they go up. I go a little higher, they press it up again. You come in with the slice, working the arms. So Shadow How against Albert is about getting this motion to show appreciation. Right. Shadow How, wide, threaten lower, driving in as they try to press up higher. So that doesn't do lightly or working from there. Last thing, one more quick change as we go to flu. And again, flu is talked about from the left side. Get this down. So, we want flu, left side. So again, over here, this angle. So I can rotate. There's a little bit of angle there. And flu. And we'll drop in our little down there. This is a pretty good representation of flu. I'll even knock it up a little higher. Just so I have someone my size where he is. Right. So there we are. Right, nice solid flu. So flu, last option, one we haven't talked about, is being broken by a shield high. So again, because on the left side, my opponent is actually over here somewhere, and they're not being tell. So you're trapped in that mindset and that thinking. Do that a little bit. So I want to do a shadow how. Remember shadow how, real quick, brings across, dropping it down, pressing in, pressing through, really taking advantage of angles and lines and pressing it out. So here, as I'm doing this, I'm really trying to make them expect this kind of cut as I change out and drop through. I'm still taking a very left-footed approach to this. Right? I'm not going here, I'm not going to step offline here because now it makes driving harder. It gives an option for them to change underneath and do drop plays in there. I'm really looking to bring this towards them through the center, over their weapon, and suppressing it with my back edge. So I'm looking here, drawing this down and through. So there are some options in these you can play with. But I believe we talked about in the shield house section. I'll go over it briefly from here, where if I'm here, I make this step. If they could have changed out underneath, all I do is really thinking about extending my blade, stopping them from doing that work, and that changing out against things. Again, this feels even better if you're doing a change through more like this, where they're trying to not drop under your sword, but pull back and retake center. As I like to do it, then it makes that feel a lot smoother, a lot stronger. As it's press out, you go flying from there. But they do drop low, instead of trying to bite, you just drop a bit more and lock them out from coming in. Obviously, this is not going to help you strike the other person, but it does give you amazing control of their sword, and you can drive through and work options from there So again, working that shield out against left glute, really taking that, again, coming across with things, but really thinking about dropping this to get outside, locking your blade back to the center. Right? We're not trying to cut through across the shoulder, not trying to even hit the cord, not even trying to cut through. We are dropping this down the center of the fight between myself and my opponent, walking through, coming in. So again, just walking through working that. So that is a fairly long, quick recap of breaking four guards. If there are questions or comments on these, I'll have to do a more in-depth video. I'll get an actual person, not a pal, so we can play out some more of those scenarios. But as far as solo work, as far as playing with these, really just thinking about where's my opponent standing, how do I want to move, how do I make myself safe as a guy, right? I don't know if you can see, but I'm safe all the way through. I can draw this all the way through. I'm using my strong against their read, against their middle, to let that happen, let it come out. If they change out some way and I'm doing this, I just let this blind out, grab over, as I come in, so I get past any special opening, or just work, there are openings that show up. So again, if there are questions on this, if there are contradictory thoughts or things you didn't understand or don't agree with, feel free to comment, reach out on Facebook, send me an email, anything cool like that. Otherwise, guys, have a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday with some more